On the news, federal government explains reason for Twitter ban. IGP suspends issuance of tinted vehicle glass permit. And Senate assures of passage of Petroleum Industry Bill before end of June. Glad to have you join us on News Now. I am Oyin Adekunle. The federal government has been explaining why it took the decision to suspend the operations of Twitter in Nigeria. Minister of Information and Culture, Muhammad, announced the suspension of the social media platform last Friday, 2 days after Twitter deleted a comment from President Muhammadu Buhari's account for violating its rules. At a meeting with the ambassadors of US, UK, Canada, EU and Ireland over the buzz arising from Twitter suspension, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, said the aim was to prevent the platform from being used for criminality and the destabilization of Nigeria.
We're not saying that Twitter is threatening the country or any such thing like that, and that is not the justification. The justification is, or why we've taken this measure, is to see to what extent we can rebalance these media as forces of good and stop them being used as platforms for destabilization and facilitation for criminality and encouragement of criminality. So we do not blame the media themselves. You know, these are very important technological breakthroughs that we're seeing that's, you know, helping to develop the world. But as I have said, it's really ensuring that they are used for no doubt the purposes for which they are created. Differences of opinion is not a problem for us. We're a democracy, you know. We're based on that. Everybody will not think alike, and we accept that. You'll get criticisms and things, but life matters. You know, Nigerian lives matter, and we have to do everything we can to preserve a Nigerian life, and where we feel that those are threatened because be it technology or whatever, then actions will need to be taken.
And also speaking at the meeting, the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria pledged their support to Nigeria, saying the country's challenges may be daunting but not insurmountable.
Our concern is to convey that, as President Biden said in his inauguration in January, it is actually when you're in your most troubled times often that our need for individual expression, open public conversations, and accountability is perhaps even greater. But we are here as partners who want to see Nigeria succeed. We want to see this place is unified, peaceful, and prosperous, and that's how all of our activities are arranged.
Meanwhile, the suspension of Twitter in Nigeria has sparked both local and global outrage. While some view it as a violation of citizens' rights of expression, others say it is a right step to ensure the responsible use of social media. Our correspondent Abisola Adebayo tells us more.
This was the tweet that got microblogging site Twitter on the wrong side of the Nigerian government. Twitter takes down the tweet by President Muhammadu Buhari, describing it as an insightful comment, and then the presidency reacts. Shortly after the minister's remarks, the presidency took things a bit further and announced a suspension on Twitter's activities in the country. That ban came into effect on Saturday midnight, with many Nigerians unable to access their Twitter accounts.
If Mr. President, anywhere in the world, feels very bad and concerned about a situation, he is free to express such views. The mission of Twitter in Nigeria is very, very suspect. As Twitter deleted the violent tweets that Nnamdi Kanu has been sending, has it? The same Twitter, during the NSAS program, that was funding NSAS protesters, President's speech, that anybody who is destroying infrastructure, who is destroying police service, INEC, that should be ready for the consequences. Is that inciting violence?
Mixed reactions has been trailing this and some people have described the government's move as dictatorial.
Why should you compel 200 million Nigerians, okay, restrict them because you now place a total ban on the entire Twitter? I mean, Nigerians have the freedom of expression. The president's action, by extension, is a suspension of Chapter 4 of the Constitution. Because in Chapter 4 of the Constitution has given every Nigerian the right to express himself. Where the expression goes contrary to law, you can sue the individual or group of persons for defamation, slander, or libel. I think it's very wrong it's selfish also for the president to, put a ban on Twitter just because the tweet was deleted. Besides, the tweet itself has been criticized to be genocidal.
But not everybody views the situation the same way. Some other Nigerians say the suspension of Twitter is necessary.
And I think the federal government has done the right thing. You sometimes take the hard stance to get a point, to send a point. So it is not a new thing, though. In 2011, similar thing happened in the UK, and though a suspension was avoided because Twitter complied with the directive of the United Kingdom government, so probably Twitter was looking at Nigeria as, a small shot, and they felt the federal government cannot do anything. So Twitter has no, proper structure in the country, apart from the fact that it's a, social media platform like everyone, like that everybody uses. So point is, it has to follow our laws.
The ban has restricted many Nigerians, especially those who use the platform for business. A lot of them have since resorted to using virtual private networks to access the service. The federal government says it is currently in talks with Twitter and it cannot say for how long the directive will be in place. Abisola Adebayo, TV360, Lagos.
And the federal government has appealed to all Nigerians to see the protection of the nation's infrastructure as their core responsibility. Minister of Information and Culture, Muhammadu, made the appeal on Monday at the NAF Conference Center, Abuja, when he declared open a one-day town hall meeting on the protection of public infrastructure organized by his ministry. Details in this next report. Worried by the spate of vandalism of public infrastructure in the country, the federal government is calling on Nigerians to support the widespread campaign on the protection and ownership of public infrastructure. Minister of Information and Culture, Muhammadu, says the incessant attacks on public infrastructure and government-owned facilities can also be described as a form of terrorism.
Removal of rail tracks can cause train derailment with deadly consequences. Tampering with aviation infrastructure endangers the lives of air passengers. Attacks on police stations have left many police personnel dead. These are clearly acts of terror. In organizing these town hall meetings, our major objectives are to create in the public mind that government property are indeed citizens' property and so must be protected for the benefit of all.
In his remarks, the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, is calling for serious sanctions against those engaged in the condemnable activities to serve as deterrent to others.
All of these interference, damage to public property are actually criminal offenses. Our laws provide for them, and the fines range from penalties, the sanctions range from penalties of fines to terms of imprisonment on conviction for the offenses. All of these monies that we are spending could have been put to other uses. They could have bought drugs, they could have paid, they could have done so many other things instead of going to repeat, to do, or to rebuild what we have already built.
Other ministers at the town hall meeting, while giving stewardship of their various offices, emphasized the serious security implications of infrastructure vandalism.
Now, let me tell you the number of cases we've had, the vandalizations we've had. In the whole of Western District, we have just one case, but now listen. The whole of Northwest, 31. The whole of Northern District, 10. The whole of Northeastern District, that's where we have the worst case. No, not there. North Central is the worst case. Northeastern District, you have 43. North Central District, where you have Jos and all those people, you have 50. Eastern District, you have 36. Abuja to Kaduna, 13. That's worse. What they do in Abuja to Kaduna is they're not cutting off the track. They're stealing, what they call that pin. There's a pin used to hold this thing down. So if we have changed up to 10,000 of those things. You have to make sure every day before the train runs, we have to walk all that track to make sure that the track is safe.
During the NSAS riot, they went to destroy our VOR in Ilorin and our VOR in Calabar, and so on and so forth. Those VOR are very high frequency omnidirectional radio range. They tell us how far away we are from the airport. They tell us the exact position where the airport is. They tell us quite a number of things, and they're destroyed. Imagine an aircraft carrying 500 people in distress, and he doesn't know where to go, and the VOR is destroyed. It's a disaster. And if you go and do it willfully, the aircraft may even fall on your cousin or uncle or even mother. It's a serious business.
This town hall meeting is the first of a three-part series that addresses vandalism of public infrastructure across the country. Similar meetings will be held in Calabar, Cross River State to address pipeline vandalism, while another one will be held in Maiduguri, Borno State to address vandalism of power and telecommunication infrastructure. The Islamic State West Africa province, ISWAP, has released an audio recording in which it revealed that the leader of rival Boko Haram sect, Abubakar Shekau, has killed himself. In the undated audio recording, a voice thought to be that of ISWAP leader Abu Musab al-Bawani Nawi said Shekau died detonating explosives on himself after a battle between the two groups. Al-Banawi explains that ISWAP fighters hunted down the warlord and offered him the chance to repent and join them, but Shekau refused and instead killed himself. Under Shekau, Boko Haram has staged bombings, kidnappings and prison breaks across Nigeria's northeast region. He was reported dead last month and has been reported killed before, but neither Boko Haram nor the Nigerian army have confirmed his death. Earlier, we spoke to security consultant Sheyi Adetayo, who gave us an insight into the significance of Shekau's death.
We need to understand the fact that before now, all the three actors in this world, the Jazz faction belonging to Abubakar Shekau, the ISWAP faction currently led by Abu Musab al-Banawi, and the Nigerian troops, they have all been fighting on two fronts. They're going to be so bring some forms of reprieve now to some of the communities that are inside, in the middle of this whole crisis. If you look at the Abubakar Shekau model of operandi, he does not care whether one is a Muslim or is a Christian. He's so vicious and so brutal in the way he's doing things. He laced young boys and girls with explosive vests, strap them up, use them as human pawn, explosive elements, which is against or is not the usual practice of ISWAP. So we might begin to see less of a human bomb explosive attacks. We might begin to see less of child soldiers. We might begin to see less of abductions of women as wives and
President Muhammadu has commissioned the newly remodeled government girls' secondary school in Chibok local government area of Borno State, 7 years after it came under Boko Haram attack. The attack on 14th of April 2014 left about 276 schoolgirls abducted and taken into the Sambisa forest. Although quite a number of the abducted schoolgirls escaped, about 112 of them are still in captivity. Buhari was represented by the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talin, sympathized with the Chibok community, saying the government is working day and night to make sure that life returns to normal, both in the community and all others affected by terrorism. The remodeled school, which was renovated by the Borno state government, has now been renamed Government Secondary School to accommodate both male and female students. And as part of efforts being put in place to curtail the worsening security challenges across the country, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has ordered the immediate suspension of issuance of police permits to owners of tinted vehicle windscreens nationwide. Baba gave the directives at the Nigeria Police Force headquarters in Abuja on Monday. He also directed that the issuance of spy number plates be put on hold. The police boss also reiterated that roadblocks remain prohibited in the country and warned that heads of commands must enforce it and key into into the road patrol strategy as an alternative to roadblocks. The new commissioner of the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, has assumed office. Before her present position, Suleiman Ibrahim was the Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, but she swapped position with the former head of the NCFRMI last month on the orders of President Muhammadu Buhari. Speaking at a reception by the management and other commission staff in Abuja, Suleiman Ibrahim promised to complement all efforts that had been put in place to move the commission forward and leave nothing to chance in a bid to achieving the objectives of the commission.
Refugee is a very strategic department, especially now in the face of new normal and a whole lot of challenges in the country. So I want to believe that there will be mother, brother, sister, friend, way of carrying out our activities. Most times the agitation, it shouldn't come but let it come in a way that dialogue, discussion, and then way forward. Because if you don't identify challenges properly, it's difficult solving it. But if it's properly put to table, nothing as good as dialogue.
I would like to assure you that we would work in peace and harmony. There will be fairness, equity, and justice. And together we will not only achieve our mandate, but our personal, individual goals, and also our professional goals. I wanted to write a proper speech to ensure that I have disconnected completely from my baby vision of the NAPTIP. So I'd like to stop at this point and thank you for welcoming me as a family member. I feel at home already.
Members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, IMN, have vowed to persist with protests until they secure the unconditional release of their leader, Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, and his wife, Zinat. The couple has been in detention since December 2015 over alleged culpable homicide, unlawful assembly, and disruption of public peace. As part of activities to mark the 2,000 days in detention of El-Zakzaky and his wife, members of the group embarked on gathered in Abuja, the nation's capital, to say they will not back down until their leader is released.
This is our leader, and whatever touches him, it touches us. And we believe that his freedom is our freedom. So therefore, we'll continue to struggle until he is finally released. Whether we are going to lose, in fact, we don't care losing our life. We are ready to sacrifice our life for him to survive. Because if he survives, he can be able to guide our children and the rest of the humanity. He is, in fact, what we call probably he's an advantage to the humanity. The unfortunate massacre of brothers and sisters of the Islamic movement, whose bodies were buried in mass grave. The subsequent arrest of Sheikh El-Zakzaky and hundreds of his followers and the destruction of the property that belonged to him, perpetrated by the Nigerian army in Zaria, have led to the death of more than 1,000 people, rendered 1,866 children orphaned. Then, even while calling for his immediate and unconditional release, in Abuja alone, 78 protesters were killed in cold blood. Furthermore, about 300 are still battling with their health.
Well, let's take a break here, but still to come, Onovo replaces Trust Ekong in Nigerian camp ahead of Cameroon friendly. Details of that and more shortly. Glad to have you back. Now, here is a quick reminder of some of our top stories tonight. The federal government has been explaining why it took the decision to suspend the operations of Twitter in Nigeria at a meeting with the ambassadors of US, UK, Canada, European Union and Ireland over the buzz arising from Twitter suspension. Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema said the aim was to prevent the platform from being used for criminality and the destabilization of Nigeria. And we also told you that the Inspector General of Police Usman Baba has ordered the immediate suspension of tinted vehicle glass permits and issuance of spy number plates nationwide as part of efforts being put in place to curtail the worsened security challenges across the country. In case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. Nigeria on Sunday recorded 11 new COVID-19 infections in 3 states. Lagos topped the infection chart with 9 new cases, followed by the FCT and Kano with 1 case each. Latest update from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) shows that the new cases raised the total number of infections in the country to 166,767. The Public Health Agency also said no new death was recorded from the infection on Sunday, leaving the country's fatality at 2,111. A total of 163,096 people have also been discharged after treatment since the disease broke out in Nigeria last year. I will take another pause here and return with updates from the world of business. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Let's now join Abisola Adebayo for the latest in the world of business. Abisola, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Oyin. Welcome to Business News. Senate President Ahmed has promised that the National Assembly would pass the Petroleum Industry Bill before the end of June. Lawan, who spoke during the opening session of the 2021 Nigeria International Petroleum Summit in Abuja, said both chambers of the National Assembly were currently concluding work on the bill. The non-passage of the PIB has dragged on for about 20 years, despite stakeholders' views that the bill would positively transform the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. The Senate President, however, explained that lawmakers wanted to be very fair in listening to everyone in order to adequately address the concerns of stakeholders pertaining to the bill. We'll take a pause here and return with stock market review. Uncertainties continue to grow on the floor of the Nigeria Stock Exchange as the market made a bearish end today, posting a loss at the end of the session. The all-share index posted a total loss of 0.10% to close at 38,686 basis points. Market capitalization also lose over 20 billion naira today to close at 20.164 trillion naira. Moving on now, leading the losers chart is Julie PLC with a 15 kobo loss, followed by CWG from the ICT sector as it maintained its position on the losers table since last week. It recorded a decline of 15 kobo in the value of its share price today. On the flip side, however, that's our top gainers for today. The percentage gainers were led by Morrison and Cornwall from the oil and gas sector. They recorded a combined 1 naira 91 kobo loss. In summary, that's our activity chart today. We can see a total volume of 210 million units of shares valued at over 1 billion naira exchange hands in 3,958 deals. Moving on to our foreign markets, that's the FTSE, the Dow Jones, and the Nikkei. The FTSE and the Nikkei are in the positive territory, while the Dow Jones, unfortunately, could not manage to keep its head above water. London FTSE climbed today, helped by gains in banking and home builders. It recorded a 0.12% increase. Meanwhile, the Dow Jones traded lower today, as you can see right here, after briefly surpassing its all-time closing high, as investors search for reasons to keep propelling equities higher amid the next leg of the economic recovery. It declined by 0.42%. The Japan stocks Nikkei turned higher thanks to a rise on Wall Street late last week, but its topside was capped due in part to the yen's advance. It recorded a 0.27% increase. That's all on stock market review. It's back to Oyin for the rest of the news.
Thank you for that update, Abisola. We're moving now to the foreign scene, where the leader of Mali's junta, Assimi Goïta, has been officially sworn in as the country's interim president. 2 weeks ago, Goïta removed the transitional president and prime minister in a coup, which was the second he orchestrated in 9 months. After he was sworn in, Goïta named opposition leader and former minister Shogo Maiga as prime minister of the transitional government. He also promised credible, fair, and transparent elections expected in February next year. Well, it's now time for Entertainment Report on News Now.
Grammy Award-winning singer Wizkid has changed his signature name on social media. He is now to be known as Big Wiz. This comes after the singer's fans have suggested that the name Wizkid be replaced with something more befitting, noting that he is no longer a kid, both as a person and in the musical scene. Also, the name seems to portray the exact image of what his teeming fans have been clamoring for, as it reflects the singer's growth and transformation in the entertainment industry. The Ikorodu boys have triggered another internet sensation with their recreation of the trailer of the Indian film Jagame Thandiram. Netflix is set to release the film on 18th June, with interest sparked by its trailer. The Ikorodu boys have now recreated their own trailer in a more amusing way. Released on Sunday, the parody trailer has become an instant hit with over 165,000 views in less than 15 hours. The trailer has also attracted over 1,000 comments. And that's all we have on the entertainment segment of News Now.
And in sports, Super Eagles coach Gernot Rohr has handed a late call-up to Vincent Onovo as a replacement for injured William Troost-Ekong ahead of Nigeria's second friendly match against Cameroon on Tuesday. Troost-Ekong picked up an injury towards the end of last Friday's game and was replaced by Galatasaray defender Valentine Ozonwafo. Onovo, who is based in Hungary, has joined the Super Eagles in Austria as Rohr hints at switching his tactical approach with 3 defenders for Tuesday's match. Well, that's it on News Now at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Oyi Adekunle. Bye for now.